Alright, so the first one here that we have is the tap and the trill. The difference between the r and the r, right? The tap, the and the r. There are two types in the Philippine Spanish, but actually this is a tendency that's going to be it's being lost. So the tap and the trill is actually starting to be just one kind of rhotic sound. All right. The examples that I have written here is baron, barrio, and barong, right? But again, like this is starting to be all just one sound. Baron, barrio, barong. It's starting to sound like that. Um, and it's just a change that's happening, or if not, it's already done so or been done. Um, another thing about the rhotic sounds is that we in Philippine Spanish there's never the retroflexed R that you hear in American English, the sound. It's gonna be the sound, okay? So the sound doesn't exist, all right? And that's just a characteristic of Philippine Spanish, is that you have to trill that R, and this actually came from influence from regional local languages, because the local languages in the Philippines, their rhotic sounds is actually that shrill sound. So when local or indigenous people began learning Spanish, they started to just unify both the tap and the trill sounds. Moving on to the next one, we have the tappings and the liquids, right? Because the R, the L, and the D all have different sounds, they're not going to be pronounced the same way. Whereas some people, or I guess in some dialects of Spanish, they do, but in the Philippine dialect, it's not. So the R is not the L, and the L is not the D, and the D is not the R. They all have three different sounds as follows, right? So this is with the tappings and the liquids. So for example, like this first word here, azúcar, right? Azúcar. It's not azúcar, but it's azúcar. It's that tap. Azúcar. Azúcar. Not azúcar, but azúcar. The next one is azul. Azul with a not a d. Azul, right? It's a liquid. And the last one is dinero, right? Dinero. It's just the tap. Dinero. Finally, for this one, we have the glottal stops. This is very prominent with the local languages, because the local indigenous languages in the Philippines exhibit glottal stops, the stop sounds, right? So in a normal Spanish, or I guess in standard Spanish accent or dialect, this first phrase is going to be elongated with that vowel, Santana, right? Santana, or pronounced as Santana. But in Philippine Spanish, it's Santa Ana, Santa Ana. There's that glottal stop, Santa Ana. There's a glottal stop between the two A's, but normally it's liaised, right? The vowels are or elongated and liaised, or the consonant vowel or whatever is combined together, so that you don't hear a glottal stop. For the next ones, you'll hear glottal stops, right? So in standard Spanish, it's un hombre, but in Philippine Spanish, it's un hombre, un hombre. You'll hear that sound, the glottal sound, the stop, un hombre. Or even for this one too, in standard Spanish, it's el hospital. You hear the lo, the el los. You don't hear the stop. It's el hospital. But in Philippine Spanish, el hospital, el hospital. There's a stop there. It's not el hospital, but el hospital. El hospital, el hospital. And the final one is mais, right? Or maíz, maíz. Actually, maíz, the way it's pronounced maíz is in local languages. But in Philippine Spanish, it's maíz, right? Maíz. And in standard Spanish, maíz, maíz, right? Maíz. It's like glided together. There's no glottal stop. Maíz, but maíz in standard. In Philippine, maíz, and in local languages, maíz, right? It's just interesting how it works that way with the influence from the local languages with all of the other sounds. But yeah, more to come.